set track records from one end of this country to the other. We won 50 straight match races that year, and we were getting tremendous publicity. It was like a Cinderella story. Here was a nobody from September of 1957 to September of 1958 was becoming a national figure in drag racing. How do you get the new swamp back?
Don, what makes your car museums so much fun, and why do you treasure what's in them?
Well, it's a lifelong collection. We've been actually on this particular project for 35 years, and it's all of the stuff is personal. I mean, there's lots of cars in the antique building that I personally restored, and of course my personal dragsters in the drag racing building, and all of the funny parts and all that I made over the years. Some worked, some didn't. There's failures over there as well as successes, and it's really kind of fun to just walk through there. This is me personally. Sometimes I come down here at night and just kind of walk through and say, gosh, did I really do all of this?
Don Garlits' first dragster, 1954-1955. So Ugly Hot Rod magazine would not run a picture of it. Here's Swamp Rat 1B, built in 1959 in Tampa after a Chester, South Carolina fire and driven by Art Malone. Swamp Rat 5, Swamp Rat 5A with a spoiler built on the engine. This 1927 Ford Model T is Don Garlits' first race car, built in 1954. It was built under an oak tree at their home in North Tampa. There's a whole lineup of old dragsters of Don Garlits. Swamp Rat 2 Buick, 1957. Here's a rear-engine 1957 dragster. Here's Swamp Rat 2 with a Chevrolet from 58. Swamp Rat 2B from 1960 and Swamp Rat 2C from 1961. And this one, well, Big Daddy Don Garlits occasionally runs drag strips now in this dragster version of a Dodge Challenger.
Like I say, I was really good about not selling too much of my stuff, and then the stuff that I did sell, I tracked it down. And only a couple of cars of my entire career that I don't actually have in my possession.
Now, you have such a long legacy of drag racing, but you also have a legacy of classic cars, and we're in this classic car museum. Why did you establish this as well?
Well, we moved up here in 1983 and opened the doors officially in 84, and we went for about 10 years, and we didn't get many visitors locally. So I thought most of these people would, appreciate an old car or an old restored car that they had driven when they were young. And so we built this building in '94 and opened it up, and sure enough, it really made a difference. A tremendous amount of the old retired people from this area began to come here, and then they would go through the drag racing museum and they'd say, oh my goodness, we thought it was just jalopies with the fenders off,
The lights are staging, and here we are at Big Daddy Don Garlits' Drag Race Museum in Ocala, Florida. You name it, he's got it. Here's one of his cars, a Rat Under Glass. Back there, a car owned by Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney. Cars have wings, and it's not just his cars here. You've got dragsters from many others, early slingshot dragsters, many classics. There's even this early twin Oldsmobile engined Dill Pickle of Bub Klinger from 1957 to 1964. Dragsters at Don Garlits Museum come from the Tiny to the Ford Flathead to even Baby Moon Eyes. This is a rocket-powered dragster called the Mach 1 officially. You like Hemi, you like Mopar, he's got a lot of them. And when a V8 isn't enough, how about a V12 Allison? That's what it looks like out of an airplane, that's what it looks like in the Pollutionizer, and that's what it looks like in a single-piece fiberglass-bodied hot rod. What are your most favorite cars in either of these museums?
Well, in this museum, I have a favorite. It's a 1942 Mercury convertible. It's one of 8 on the planet. It was built just before the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor in 1941.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's what I wanted to do at first. Yeah. This is good. Yeah. When I first had my truck done, I didn't want any.
And then, of course, in the Drag Racing Museum, the favorite is the Swamp Rat 1, which was my first car. I broke the record in 1957, 176 first car over 170. I beat the world's champion at the World Series of Drag Racing in September of that year. A guy had never been beaten, came from California, and we outran him twice. And it was a shot heard around the world. And I never sold the car. It was a very home-built, old 31 Chevy frame modified to be a dragster. Never sold it because nobody wanted it. It's worth $1 million today, probably at a Christie's auction or a Barrett Jackson, because it's a running car. And we took it to Bristol in 1982, and actually went faster than it ever went 182 miles an hour with it, and the record was 180 even.
Robert Peters' 1954 Slingshot has an engine and in front a supercharger. That's a Chrysler Firepower V8 with a supercharger in front. Very innovative for its day. Prepare to fire all missiles? No. This is Bruce Larson's 1966 Chevelle. It is the first all-fiberglass funny car. And no joke, how about a 1939 Fiat 500 called the Topolino? And it is built as a dragster. The Bug, 1941, with a 1942 Merc engine, a 411 Ford rear end, top speed 130.4 miles per hour. Built and driven by Dick Kraft. TV, Tommy Ivo, child star of TV in the 1950s, became a drag racer, and one of his most outrageous was this dual-engine Buick, built in 1959. He went on to build a 4-engine dragster with all-wheel drive. Look at these streamliners. I mean, this car is absolutely stunning. So is Don Garlits' Winds liner. And then here is Craig Breedlove's 1964 Spirit of America, a land speed record dragster. Swamp Rat 31 went nose up and flew, and is displayed as it was after the nose up and rollover. And if you don't believe me, here's the video.
Yeah.
If you do what you love, you'll more than likely be successful, because you'll spend so much time and effort on it. You won't just begrudgingly going to work. Oh God, I wish I didn't have to. Thank God it's Friday. I say thank God it's Monday.
Yeah.
And so here I am, 81 years old. I'm still down here working because I love it. I'm over there restoring some transmissions right now. And I don't have to work anymore. I want to work.